All right, now we're going to take a little sidetrack between our vulnerability assessment and then our exploitation, and we're going to look at some traffic capturing. So we'll take a look at ways we can get traffic that is not intended for us and get it to come to us, and maybe even get some things that are encrypted. You never know. We will see some other traffic capturing techniques in other sections, but these are the basic building blocks of getting data that doesn't necessarily need to be coming to us to come to us. Alright, so we're going to start with a tool called Wireshark. It used to be called Ethereal. And hopefully that error is not a big problem. I recently moved from 1.0.6 to 1.0.9, and you never underestimate the ability to break something when there's this many tools being configured in one place. So hopefully that won't be a problem. So we want to capture traffic. What this is going to do is basically listen on the wire with the wireless and see what packets it can see. So I want to go to capture up here at the top and interfaces. We want ETH0 and start. It is going to try and monitor all traffic. We actually don't want to do that. What we want to do, if we go back to interfaces, and if we say options, we want to make sure we have anonymous, or not anonymous, promiscuous turned off. So use promiscuous mode on all interfaces. We actually want to turn that off. And the reason for that is that we need to pretend that we're not in VMware. Basically in VMware, they're all using the same network interface port, so it'll actually be able to see more than it would if it were a ton of different machines. So we want to pretend like we have an actual network here. So we've got promiscuous off. So let's restart. So we should only be able to see traffic to and from our machine or to the broadcast in our switched network. Like my printer is around here somewhere doing the broadcast. So if I, for instance, let's say I ping 192.168.1.76, should be able to see that. So ICMP echo request, see something called an ARP. We'll talk about that. So we should see anything from the broadcast to the 255 at the end, as well as anything to or from our own machine, but in a switch network. And this is why we turned off the promiscuous, because in a switch network we should not be able to see traffic to and from other machines that don't have anything to do with us. But in our VMware network, because they're all using the actual same interface on the machine, we will be able to see them if we look in promiscuous mode. But again, we want to make it look like an actual network, so we turned that off. Alright, so it's just pinging forever, so probably we should stop that. So also, for instance, if I do an FTP to the XP machine, I know it has anonymous on. So a cool thing about FTP, well, not cool from a security perspective, is that it'll allow us to actually see the traffic in plain text. So for instance, I've had clients where I've done like reviews of their software and they're sending sensitive data to and from a server using FTP. So not only do I see their login credentials that are like embedded in it, and you'd have to reverse engineer it to get those, but if I just listen with Wireshark, I can see those, so I don't have to reverse engineer it to get the credentials. I can just watch it. But also then the data being sent over is also in plain text. Unless they encrypt it before they send it, then I can just see it in plain text. It actually can grab it off the wire and like these hex bytes down here, like dump them into file and actually recover it. So I've done that for a few customers, but in this case, we can just see the username and password. Like, since I just used anonymous, it's password georgia@bulbsecurity.com. We can filter, so if we come up here to the filter, if I do like FTP and apply, that'll show us only FTP stuff. I can do like FTP and, so say and, ip.dest equal 192.168.1.76. So that'll only show us FTP traffic that is destined for 192.168.1.76. So only stuff we're sending. Could also do like ip.source equal 192.168.76 and do or. So that'll show us both sides. So anything from 192.168.176 or from it will come to us. So there's lots of different filters you can do. I encourage you to read the manual on it. There's a lot of different things you can do. What you can also do is, well, you can see like the raw data here. You can like break it down, like here's Ethernet, TCP, FTP. It like breaks down the protocols, and also you can do follow TCP stream. So this is the whole conversation, if you will. So you can do a fair amount with Wireshark, but if we instead clear the filter, and if we come over to, that's a domain controller. May or may not have a domain controller. I don't require it, but I'll show a couple things with the domain controller, and you can set up the domain controller if you like. So if I was on Ubuntu and I did FTP 192.168.1.76, and I said, and how about I give it like real passwords, Georgia, and password, you don't know that yet, but that's actually a legitimate username and password for that, but we'll see that during password cracking. And so it looks like there's something called creditcards.txt in there. So maybe I'm giving a few things away, but we'll see how to do it properly. But if I come over here and I again filter for FTP, apply. The last thing we saw is that anonymous and georgia@bulbsecurity.com. We did not see that Georgia and password that just came through. Since it was neither to or from our machine, we were not able to see it. Of course, we'd like to be able to see it. That would probably be helpful to us. That could have, in this case, been a valid username and password that we could use to log in and possibly get creditcards.txt out of there. So definitely might be something we'd like. So I wonder if there is something we can do to make that happen. So that is going to be our next goal.